To our meeting tonight, so I would like to call this meeting to order. Mr. Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Deputy Mayor Densham. Be it resolved that this regular meeting now open at 6 p.m.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion's carried. I guess I should mention it is actually our last meeting of June of 2026. So, with that said, let's move on to the, is there any opening remarks from members of council? Seeing none, moving on to the adoption of the agenda. Mr. Clerk.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Densham, seconded by Councillor Shane. Be it resolved that the agenda be approved as presented.
Thank you. Any omission or any changes seen to the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor? Agenda's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, moving on to our public meeting. So I'd like to welcome Salim and Munir Dar. If gentlemen, if you want to join us, you can come up to the podium for our delegation tonight. Welcome.
Thanks very much. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Member of Councils. We really appreciate the time you took to speak to, give us the opportunity to speak today. My name is Munir Dar, and my brother Salim Dar. We are here to present make our case for the redevelopment project we are working in Finch off the county road. It was just a little background, like won't take much, probably a minute or so. It was property, huge property. Was formerly a school, which was converted into another business afterwards, but technically this rezoning wasn't taking place at that time, being converted into an apartment-style residential building. The structure itself already built, structurally sound, and we have invested significant time and capital into bringing that property back into life and to addressing like a few things that, such as like housing, and then we believe, could be mistaken, but we believe that it's the potential to become the first apartment-style residential development in Finch, helping addressing the housing needs and setting a precedent for the future growth. The property, as I mentioned, it was operated as a school and now converted into the apartment-style building with 9 units at this point. Our goal is just to simply to deliver quality residential project that values the community and contributes to the growth of the township. There are a few obstacles we are facing at this moment. And we are near completion. I know there were some hurdles, and we are addressing those along with the township. And we had a good cooperation, collaboratively working with the folks from the city as well for the concerns and any of the permits and any of the things that we needed to look into it before they can grant us the permit and the occupancy afterwards. As I mentioned, we are facing a few obstacles on our own, not to the township for sake. Again, very helpful and very collaborative relationship with them. And anytime we needed them, they were there to address our concerns. There are a couple of things that I just wanted to, we are facing a few challenges. I shouldn't say obstacles, challenges that we are facing. First is the respect to the capital charges. Because the building was originally designed as a school and included more than 10 separate washrooms, bathrooms with the sinks and everything. But when it was converted into the residential, it significantly increased the capital charges beyond what we could typically apply for a residential building. Again, just my humble opinion. We are requesting just a contribution for the reduction in that because, if we already had that structure in place, and I'm not asking to waive everything. We just want a little fair, anything where we can help to move this project a little more faster, so we can move forward. And we wanted to reinvest that revenue that comes along from this building, uh, getting the tenants and the more economic growth into the township. We want to reinvest that into the addressing the commercial area on the county road, like on the front of the property, and get that going in the future as well, which we already had discussed preliminary basis with the township as well. And again, just preliminary stages, but we made them aware of our intentions. We had some cooperation on that too, but again, the first project is to get that building going. And second one is just to highlight a little, we are, like, challenges is that just we wanted to get that addressed. Is the second one is the water and servicing fees. We are just kindly asking for property to be treated similar as to the multifamily projects that's already going on into Finch, and there's quite a few going on, and it's very encouraging for all of us. Like, I mean, for us as a person, like, I mean, investor, you can say that too, and we are kind of like very encouraged with the growth that's happening currently in North Stormont and in the neighborhood where our property is located right now. Getting back to my point, sorry. So just asking for, just a little consideration given to the reducing the number of service connections, because the services was already there, and there was no additional barrier or loads that we needed to carry to the building. And there were some points, like we were paying for the services, again, not a blame game or anything. It's just how things moved forward. The property, because it was a vacant and it was a power sale at that time when we took over, it's been quite a few years to bring that project into the life, like a few years after down the road. And when we started to bring it back to the life, and we realized there were some challenges that we had to address, and we invested into it in good faith. We didn't know all of that, the layers of approvals and all that stuff, so we had to come back and forth with the township to address those concerns and overcome any of the challenges we faced, to address any of the weak points or the highlights they needed to address for the coding and the permits and everything. So we've been working diligently, and again, as I said, we had a great cooperation with the city folks, and I really appreciate it. And anytime, again, we had on speed dials a few times, so it's always there. That's kind of helped us move forward. Just a few things, just another thing that we were hoping that we could get some kind of relief, since the building was approved as a school, and again, wouldn't have been approved if it wasn't safe and structurally sound. We are just asking for a little bit flexibility where possible, and I highlight where it's, exception can be made in applying current requirements, recognizing it as an existing building, if possible, that we can, anything that can be come under grandfather rule, that would be really appreciated. Although we have dealt with most of the safety and structural any concerns and all of the drawings and even the inspections and all that stuff, but there's still some items are that's highlighted, and we are hoping that we can address along with the city folks in the coming weeks or months, so that we can get this project completed and move on to the next phase for redevelopment with the commercial area. At this point, we are facing a little financial concern. We have been paying for, as I said, property taxes over 12 years and water bills as well, even though when we didn't have the water services active within the building. Not looking for any reimbursement, just hoping there's some kind of relief we can get. So it's just any possible relief or fairness we can get, that would be really appreciated as well. And again, we are trying to finish that's already well underway, and we feel that we are very close to the completion. And at one point, there was an article published too in the Township newspaper for this upcoming building. I know we faced some obstacles at that time or challenges, and it took a little longer than we thought. Again, as I said, it was our first project, and since we have completed another project, not in North Dundas, but again, this is our major and main primary focused project, and we are very eager to get this completed, hopefully sooner than later. And again, this project is not just about the building. It has the potential, again, as I mentioned, the first building in the Finch area. And it's a long-term commitment from us. And our main genuine intention is to, reinvest whatever we are getting from this building. And it will be promising. We can see the demand. The people looking for the housing and shortage, and given the location, it makes it very attractive to many tenants. We get inquiries all the time, even though we haven't advertised anything, but people are aware of it, that it's coming, and word of mouth. So we are hoping that we can get there sooner with the cooperation from all of you guys, honorable members. In conclusion, what I can just simply asking for your support to help to make this win-win outcome for us and for the township as a growing community. And again, I can't emphasize enough that we are fully committed to working collaboratively with staff and council, and we are open to solutions or guidance, anything you guys can provide, and so we can move this project forward. Again, as I said, it's long in the making, but we are almost there. So just need a little push, and we can get there quickly.
Beck, can I just add a little bit to
Absolutely.
it?
Yeah, you go right ahead.
I recently did a project in Winchester, converting a small church into a multi-unit building, and very helpful folks as well. And they actually went beyond to go through it and gave us like under 4 apartments, they gave us like a 1 connection of water. Because of the way the layout of the was for the church, and the sinks and everything else was, we end up only paying for only 1 unit charges rather than paying for all 4 units. That's again because we want to help out the community, and they want the building up and running, and it's quite a bit of an investment. In Finch, we did like almost about 10 times more of the investment on it, and all through only between me and him, right? So we really like anywhere we can just to get that project going, so we can actually start reinvesting the money into Finch, because that's where our boundaries are now, and we seem to like the areas, and there's quite a bit of a demand, and we seem to think that there's a lot of hospital nurses and single moms that they around the area. They don't mind coming up to Finch to have a residence. So any help will be very, very much appreciated to reduce the cost, just so, because now with all the new codes and everything else that township is requesting, we are already up to close to about $500,000 in investment more than what we already have invested. And again, as you can see, like, we are only 2 single people, like,
Yeah.
we won't be able to pull that project if there's no help is offered. So anything that can be done, it'll be very, very much appreciated.
So
Just
I
in the-
will, I appreciate, so I think the documentation that you guys supplied identified, I think, the challenges and areas where, part of our package, so we do get an understanding of what it is that you're, before I do go to question, so just for tonight, this here is a delegation, so there's no decisions being made tonight. The fact that what you guys are bringing forward, when I look at touches a lot of our department. So finance are implicated. We've got planning's got to look into it. CBO with construction, as well as economic development that can possibly look at different kind of funding that could be attained from different levels of government. So I think there's a lot of discussions to be had. I'll take questions from council. I have some of my comments as well. to see how we can work together, but I'll turn it over to if there's any questions from council. So go ahead, Councillor Shane.
Okay. First off, thanks for your presentation.
Thank you.
It's
Possibly just slide the mic a little
Sorry.
closer so we can.
It's great to see development in our township. Obviously, we know the housing is needed. When you're talking about the 9 units, how big of units are they? Like
Uh,
2 bedrooms, 1 bedroom, bachelor apartments, whatever?
Most of them are 2-bedroom. There's
Two-bed.
only one unit that is a 1-bedroom, which we are actually originally, let me maybe answer that. Originally, there was 10 units. Now with the new drawings and the new requirement that the township came back with it, so they said because there's a hallway there that is blocking the apartment entrance, even though we had a different one, but they won't approve that one, so we have to sacrifice that apartment. So there's going to be, all the units are going to be a 2-bedroom apartments, yeah.
And one other thing, I guess, knowing now that the township has been dealing with you, whenever I first read through it, I was kind of thinking it's an older school, and you've been mentioning in section 3 about structurally compliant. So I
Correct,
guess
yeah.
this building's gone through structural and asbestos
All
inspections.
Yeah.
these tests are already been done. The structural engineer, the architectural, pretty much all the reports are already been approved and passed with the flying colors. It's just because it's all concrete building, right? So it is built tough, right?
No, just some concerns with it being quite a bit of an older school, concerns
Right.
with asbestos and stuff. So no, thank
Oh,
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, we definitely, sorry.
And because it was renovated after, right? Because even though it's an older structure, the last construction, I believe that was done on that building, like the additions wise, that was in late 90s, or I would say early 90s, sorry, right? That's before they actually closed down, while they were under the construction. So that's why all the building have been like modified by the school boards or whoever that time was. So there was no older stuff was in it. It just because nobody took care of it, so it just needed to be basically new drywalls, new insulation, new plumbings, etc. Just we had to, because it was a copper, then we had to run a PEX and all that stuff. Like basically all to the new up to date things. But we didn't have to modify anything. And because these are all big classroom, and because it's a concrete wall, they're like almost about 24 inches walls, right? So what they did was they had each classroom turned into an apartment, right? So they're like almost about 3,000 to 4,000 square feet apartments.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Densham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you, first of all, that you're absolutely right. That the housing need right now is big.
Yes.
And again, I drive by that school or the building on a regular basis, and it would be very, very nice to see it actually in use. And again, to your point, providing housing that's available of a different sort for people who live in North Stormont. So thank you for what you're doing. I think it's really, really important work.
Thank you.
I do know that we have, again, a creative staff who are, as I understand, are working with you to look through what different options are. We have to be really careful. We count heavily on staff coming to us with ideas that will help you move forward, but at the same time, don't set a dangerous precedent, and also don't, put a lot of accountability back or a lot of costs back onto the taxpayers, because we ultimately represent the taxpayers. So we have to lean heavily on what staff can come back with in terms of creative ideas. So I encourage you to continue to work with them. Sounds like you've got a positive
Yes,
working
we do.
relationship, so that's fantastic. The other thing too is you got lots of parking, so we're not going to get a lot of parking complaints as well. So
Yeah,
listen,
and after, once we had the occupancy and once we get the permit, is going to actually, even the back is going to get all done as well. Like
and
we
you have a
already-
park right beside you too.
And we
right?
got
Yes,
for
beautiful,
people
exactly.
to
Yeah,
enjoy.
beautiful
so-
views over there for the game, and in the winter for the hockey and all that stuff. So.
Exactly. So as the mayor said, we don't make any decisions tonight. We really lean heavily on staff coming back with ideas that might help you to be move forward a little bit more aggressively. But thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So when you say it was a school, so my mother, being a little French girl from Emblem, actually went to school in Finch to improve on her English. So So that goes back many years. So I support what these guys are saying. So the need for housing, it's not just in North Stormont, it's province-wide. There is a push for, I think, as you're mentioning, there is the demand. So you want to anticipate trying to go faster so you can build on the demand that's there and actually fill the occupancy. At the same time, there's two sides that we have to look at. So we're kind of in the same boat as a municipality. So our water and sewer are not part of the tax base. So it's not everybody in the township that covers. So it's systems that are for Finch water system, which has the wastewater linked to Chrysler. Moose Creek has their system. So we're at the same time trying to maintain maintenance and trying to maintain growth. And so there's a lot that comes into play on how it's structured. The downfall of your relief that you're looking for, a lot of it is based by bylaw. So the bylaw, to amend or change a bylaw, we're not just changing the school in Finch, we're looking at changing everything in the township that qualifies for the same reason. So that's why staff's gonna have challenges to see where we, on the other side of the spectrum is, we are looking at revamping or looking with regards to water meters and usage and changing so right now it's a straight out, so using it, but at the same time, when that comes, we also have to maintain a minimum. So right now, I feel personally that our apartments are high because when you look at a whole house with family of 5 versus, or our businesses. So right now, the structure, I think, needs to be looked at, and there's been talk about moving forward with discussion. We had a committee of the whole that, so we're kind of looking at some of the challenges that are impeding on cost of doing business in your field.
Correct.
So,
And that's one of the reasons I actually use the Winchester as an example. Like, we know that there's some scenarios that the township cannot really help, but there's some scenarios that they can. As I said, like with that church, we have 4 units and we have only one main line of water. We have.
and I'd like to speak to Mr. Pohl.
Actually, we didn't even have to get to that far.
No.
That was all done through
So again, by bylaw, because I mean, North Dundas are right up there when it comes to getting paid for their services and stuff. So our taxes are, like I said, we do quite well, I think, in North Stormont as far as across SD&G. North Stormont's taxes are, I'm pretty proud to say, are one of the lowest, if not the lowest. So that part of it, but then there's other sides of water and sewer and that kind of stuff that can be looked at. So as a whole, I think staff will have the opportunity to, they've heard the delegation. I think we'll give administration just a chance to be able to identify where there can be some, and we'll go from there and see what can, at the end of the day, it's all about working together to see if we can.
Absolutely. And we're really looking for the growth here, for sure. Like, I mean, I say, like, it's been almost about 16 years now here. So it's like
And
almost like a part of the family.
Yeah, exactly. Just going out north of Finch, you see where now there's 2 more not semi townhouses.
Correct, yeah.
That one's been dug, the other one is following pretty shortly. So things are moving, and I think it's nice to see development and growth.
Well, we
in our
were really
township.
looking forward to even like once the building was done, taking that funeral home, but unfortunately, that's when we got
Get the,
locked up.
Well, I appreciate your time, unless there's other questions from council. So we will gather this information and collaboratively see if we can work to identify some need. Tara's not here, but as through our economic development, another side of things that she can possibly try to find if there's any other grant opportunities at the federal or provincial level that,
She's very helpful.
Yeah,
She's the one actually we work with at Winchester as well.
well,
Yeah, she was there at that
Yeah.
time, so she,
so that
Steered
works
us.
well. So if you have a connection with her, I think Tara will benefit not just North Stormont, but not just council, but the resident as well. So
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And we have a fairly lengthy agenda, so we'll keep moving. So have a good night, gentlemen.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
So, Mr. Clerk, if we can move into the adoption of our previous meetings minutes.
Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dencham. Be it resolved that the regular meeting minutes of council from June 9th, 2026 be approved as presented.
Thank you. Any comments or changes to being seen? Nothing, so motion is carried. Oh, sorry, all in favor? I knew, I could read your,
Keep you out of trouble.
yeah. Moving on to no resolution, but just the minutes of our committee and local boards. Mr. Clerk. I guess there's no, so basically, it's just to accept the board's, committee, local board meetings. Usually we do have a resolution to just accept the reports.
Okay.
So for future, we could just remain that way. There could be comments, questions, and then we basically just accept the reports for. Go ahead, Mr. CEO.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we, Deputy Clerk Cleary and I had spoke about making sure we're giving the SNC Board of Directors and the RCCA Board of Directors reports a little more credence. We typically were putting them, they were landing just in communications, and we felt that they deserved a little more credence in on the agenda. So we'll move forward, and then we can take that recommendation forward in terms of a resolution. But we just wanted to, along with some other conversations about other boards that we have authority on, just making sure that we're reporting back and giving them credence. So that's why you're seeing a change in the agenda for this evening.
No, and that's well supported. We do pay levy to our CAs, and to me, we have stake in this, so it's just good to have it as part of our regular other meetings and board meetings, so they apply it to the same. So for the future one, we'll get moving on to our monthly staff reports and recommendations.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Dencham, seconded by Councillor Shane, that the Council of the Township of North Stormont receives report PW-08-2026 and approves the 2026 annual development allocation recommendations for Finch, Chrysler, and Moose Creek municipal water and wastewater systems as outlined in this report.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Dencham.
No, thank you for the report. It's good. I didn't realize we had 3,500 reserve capacity in Chrysler. Maybe that's so they hit the 5 twice, did they?
Through the mayor, Dawn was scheduled to come tonight. She regrets last minute she had something more important come up that she couldn't. Board says she can't make it. With your comment with Chrysler pumps, sewage pump station 2, we only actually had 2 months, so that we just plugged in the formulas with what they had. It's not there, you know. But the numbers came there. We want to give what the numbers said, and basically that's because we have no data on it. We only had 2 months data on it, so it skewed it skewed.
Yeah.
Skewed the numbers, so it's not realistic to have that.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. And again, I find a lot of the times with the water and sewer reports, we often need some commentary. And I think there's been a request over the years just to say, if even in the cover report, we just have a couple of one-liners in there just to kind of say, things are good, or here's an area that needs some attention. But again, I understand I understand why the number is the way it is. The other question, actually, where I was headed was more on the Moose Creek Lagoon and Moose Creek Pumping Station. When as the lagoon gets delivered, at what point can we then recalculate the reserve capacity, like to actually have freed up? Because I know sometimes we have to wait X amount of time for things to play out and before we actually get new numbers. But Once the lagoon is done, and assuming it's going to be done pretty much on time, will those numbers just automatically be increased?
With the, through the mayor, with the scenario, what they have, the second discharge and the Saga system put in place, it automatically give us more capacity. I can't recall the actual number right now, what it's going to give us. But it's basically, I think it's getting close to 40% more than what the capacity we had for the total system. So, but that will be an ongoing, we're going to have capacity for growth right now, but then it becomes an area of, same as what they do with the reports here. It has to go through the process, the numbers have to be calculated, the discharge and all the influence that's in there, which this is supposed to correct a lot of the situation of being restrained with the one discharge. So, but another thing I should have said before, Don says, any questions, we can take them back. And like I said, Don regretted, but she'll reply back for any kind of questions that you have or concerns you have.
Yeah, and I am a little concerned about the water numbers for Finch, given the development that's going on.
The as you recall, the way the system works, it uses the max. So in 2020, the end of 2024, we actually recouped 150 cubic meters of water a day with a major leak. Finch over time has been a scenario of leaks coming up, more water usage, then we find the leaks and we correct them. The continuation like that, 150 cubic meters, if you average it out, go high with 400 liters a day per unit, you get a lot more capacity than what it says there with 26. But we have to use the numbers that the system works with. So it's for years it's been ongoing because the system went in the mid 70s. That we get some leaks, we use more consumption, we fix them. It's an up and down scenario that.
Fair enough, and I think my comment still holds true. Is that if that was in the cover, I think we all have heard that, and I knew what you're. So I'm not surprised with anything that you told me. It's not news. We would be able to move more quickly through this if it was just a blurb on the thing on the cover report saying, you know what, we expect this to be rising. This we're still feeling the effects of, and then. But anyhow.
So I've got a question, Chuck, are you good? Based on the same subject. So when you look at, first of all, the unconnected approved lots, is that approved once there's a plan of subdivision? Is that what's considered approved lots? So if a developer hands in a draft plan to get approved at the counties, for example, the one that was submitted by lately Blanchard, but by G&E, by Gensub or Jose Laflèche's in Moose Creek, a draft plan could have potentially 100 to 200 units. In G&E, I think it was 250 or 290, and then so approved connection when we're saying 111 is that subdivision that's registered. So if there's a
Through the mayor, through your worship,
Yep.
No, that is the allocations that the township has granted out. So so some of them, because they might apply in February, some might be connected now, but it'll be one that was granted out through the, requested through a subdivision or a developer wanting so many lots. So we take that calculation in that these are granted for like a 2-year period, and they stay there until they come back or they request more or they lapse and council wants to direct them to basically someone else.
So there's a small fee, I believe, for when they want to grab so many unit, like so many allocations.
Yes,
So once that would be allocated to them, they've covered their fees, and that would fall into the approved lots, correct? Okay.
yes.
Now, when you look at Moose Creek water, so I see 107. Did we not just did some work on well number 3? And so by doing some work, would that have not increased? Like 107 is very lean for us having invested some money in a third well. And so can you maybe elaborate on?
Through the mayor, yes, the redevelopment of well number 3, the output was not close to expectations. We actually, I believe it was last fall, we requested to actually do an acid test to try to open it up more to get more flow through it. We gained a little bit of flow, but basically, the formula works out this way. There is other areas that we're going to be looking into, and hopefully some studies to look at how we can improve this. There's a limit on the amount we can actually pump. I'm not going to get into that. That's more Don's in the C of A, or ECA, whatever it was back then. So, but that's basically it don't just increase because we got more water there. It goes by the pump station, the usage, and the permit to take water.
Okay. And last is when you're talking about pumping stations. So Moose Creek Lagoon right now has capacity for 47, but the pump station only allows for 25. So is there retrofitting that's being done on the pump while we're doing this lagoon, or why is the pump not big enough to?
Again, through your worship, we did budget to actually look into putting a bigger capacity pump flow in, a bigger pump, basically. But we're hoping to create a study. Through the study, there will actually be a bottleneck right in the pump house on Simeon Lane. That when it was manufactured, it was a smaller pipe going out to a bigger pipe. So that's kind of the bottleneck. We want to be able to basically get better information to say, well, yes, we know it's a small problem here, but is there a bigger picture that we should be looking at without just trying to fix the one little item? And again, with the taking the average, so we had some high flows, that really I better not skewed the numbers, and we know we have capacity there, but we have to go with the numbers and as the formula in the regulation calls for it. So it's a matter of, a little more studying, cross connections, eave troughs, all this kind of stuff that sometimes can throw our numbers out. We haven't pumped we haven't had to haul from Moose Creek. So that's a good sign that we can do this, but the numbers are always there, and the formula is there the way it works.
Okay, well, as long as when we ask for water, we get it, we're all good. So, no, the numbers are there. Did you want to add something?
Well, I just want to reinforce your point. At the end of the day, when I think our expectation is that when we're doing improvements on the lagoon, we don't want to be bottlenecked by a pumping issue. So we've paid tens of thousands of dollars for studies to be done. I think the general idea is that we're looking for more capacity, and we don't want to be bottlenecked by one thing that was excluded from the study. Like I'm hoping we don't see any surprises there, and my hope is that on a future report back from some of the studies that are being done, we can get clarity on your point, because I think it's a valid point.
Because with the lagoon being upgraded from 47 and say we end up with 447, but that doesn't help us if the pumping station is still at 25, is what we're saying is it goes hand in hand, and it's just to make sure council is well aware as we're moving closer and allocations are requested, and we can kind of not get caught in a surprised message coming back saying, "Oh no, we need to put a halt on it for purposes of not having the proper."
And through the mayor, we are looking into that process. And we actually had a meeting with the CEO and discussing some of the, from the actual committee of the whole, that we want to be prepared to look into making sure that we always have the capacity or have the ability to get the capacity in line with what the development is requesting. And that is something that I think it was understood by myself and Don, and that's council's direction to move forward.
I know, like we put an agenda out, this topic could take that whole night. It's just there's so much that we could get more information on and stuff, and sometimes it can go a little off track, but I appreciate these numbers. On one last note, the allocation bylaw that we have that identifies developers' portion of 80% and infill, and has that been completed? And basically is the developers that are, mind you, in Moose Creek, I think they're waiting to start their phase 3, but is there the capacity there just to keep moving? The last thing council wants is a call from developers, and we're growing when it comes to Finch now and Chrysler and Moose Creek. So just make us aware if and when we're getting where we could not maintain what the request of ongoing developments taking place. So that's just on a note, and I think you were well aware of that. It's not a surprise that, but just to make the comment. Good. So any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor of the report? Motion is carried. It's sensitive tonight. Moving on to the sale of surplus land, Mr. Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Deputy Mayor Densham, that the Council of the Township of North Stormont approves the sale of surplus land, roll number 0411 016 0003 4000.0000 to D. Bender in the amount of $1,000 plus all transfer costs, and further directs administration to execute all necessary documents to complete the sale.
Thank you. Possibly I'll get our Madam Treasurer to brief us on the details.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. A report was brought to council on March 24th to approve the sale by getting an appraiser to look at the cost of this. Because this land is very unique, the cost of that appraisal would be very expensive and very hard to find comparable lands. So it was brought forward to council on May 12th, and council directed administration to sell the property through soliciting an offer to the clerk. The property was advertised with a closing date of June 9th. We had one bid submitted to the township in the amount of $1,000 plus all applicable transfer costs. So since the township no longer requires this piece of land, administration is recommending that council approve the sale to the sole bidder.
Any questions? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Densham.
I'm going to ask my MPAC expert here. Was this about half an acre? Is that
0.4, through you, Mr. Mayor, 0.45 acres, and it has a drain going through it.
I'm wondering whether or not it's going to end up being worth more as tax money coming in than what we're getting for it. Again, farmland out there, like.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, right now we're getting nothing.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. The other question I guess I have is, because it's not a bunch of money, it's not a big piece of land either, but it's a good price. Like if I had use of it, I wouldn't hesitate to pay $1,000 for half an acre of land if it was abutting up against my property. Do we have much more surplus land, or land that you think will soon become surplus? Like, I just don't want to have a fire sale on everything unless we've talked it through as a council and think that this is the right approach to go.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we have had interest in this piece, so that is why it's been brought forward to the table. There are other pieces of land, but a good chunk of them are actually landlocked. So they're very hard to sell except through the abutting people if they want it. I don't have an inventory that I can speak to right now, but I can get one.
Because again, that's my other thing is that if we give a really sweet deal on a piece of land because it happens to butt up to somebody who owns the neighboring land, how many other quick requests are we going to get? And are we basically creating momentum on a fire sale here of land that I don't disagree with your point. It's landlocked. It's not a whole lot of use to us, but as a council, we just want to be prepared that this has the potential to create a lot more requests.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, right now with just sitting there, yes, it might be seem like a reasonable price for sale, but the amount of tax money we could have got could certainly offset that from the past. Like, it's just been sitting there as exempt.
Any further questions? So no, I agree. Yeah, I think it's more case by case. So I don't think it's like the every parcel where it's going to come off. I think it's case by case where it comes, where we might see this particular piece with a drain going right through the center of it. If you're looking at 0.2 of an acre on each side, or so it's not buildable. It's not. So I think it's something that it's not a piece of land that abuts something that could be of interest to us, other than that landowner that's adjoining. So I think I'm okay with it. So I guess I'll go and look at council and put it to vote. So are any further questions? Say no. So all in favor? Motion's carried. Moving on to the Avonmore Communal Wastewater Service. Mr. Clerk.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Dencham, seconded by Councillor Shane, that the Council of the Township of North Stormont accepts report FIN-14-2026 regarding Avonmore Communal Wastewater Service, and further acknowledges a formal fee increase will be brought forward by bylaw.
Thank you. Any questions? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Dencham.
Yeah, I thank you, and I see you've looked at spreading the cost increase out over time, which is one of the things that I wanted to us to look at. But number two is what I was also hoping to see was what are the actual costs that we are incurring in support of this this system right now, in order for us to feel comfortable that the cost increase is justified. I have a tile bed in my at my house, and it's been there since before we moved in over 30 years ago. And all I do is I pump the septic tank, and that's every 2 or 3 years, and so I don't experience a whole lot of ongoing costs.
Through the mayor, basically, it's been a as-needed maintenance. Back in 2000, we had to upgrade the bed. And that was basically a heavy cost on that. But each unit, there's 4 that we look after, from the tank with the pump in it and the lines. So basically, one failure of that could be a lot more than we get in a number of years. So if you have, the pump in the tank, and you have you have to get cleaned out, which is costly nowadays, a new pump, electrical, and all that. So any infrastructure that outside of the building they have like a septic tank, like an ordinary septic tank but it comes right into our pump chamber tank. So anything from their septic tank, the municipality has to look after. So it's a pump system. Basically, they pay all the electrical on their own unit, but if anything fails, we have to pay the cost. So we just brought it up. Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I have tried to track previous costs on this, and because it's an old bylaw and our VATM system only goes back to 2005, 2006 years, I can't necessarily find previous costs. But in 2006 so far, we've spent $2,300 on this system, and we're recouping $500. It's not meeting just a small operational cost this year alone.
And again, it just depends how often that's likely to happen. I realize it's getting older, so I'm getting older, so I need more maintenance as time goes on. But like I say, okay. Yeah, I just want to feel comfortable that we're actually incurring the costs or anticipate incurring the costs that we're asking for. Otherwise, it just feels like we're arbitrarily picking a number simply because we haven't increased the price for a long period of time.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I did a cost analysis of what that $500 would be in 2026 numbers, and it would equal, with constant CPI, around $1,250 that we would recoup, divided by 4. Currently, each user on our system for sewage alone is paying $524 annually. Not one of these users would be paying $524 annually, even bringing it up over the 3 years.
Sorry, say that again? Didn't
Currently,
follow the math.
sewer users right now pay $524 annually.
Right,
This
okay.
communal, even over the 3-year period of bringing it up to speed, is not even going to meet the 2026 rates that other people are paying.
Yeah, fair enough. And again, this is, forgive my ignorance, but if we have to replace this tile bed, do we then go back to the individuals here and say, we need to now charge you for a new tile bed? Or are we going to be accumulating this? Are we going to be building a reserve so that over time we'll have money should something happen that goes for? I just don't know how a communal service of any kind, whether it be a tile bed or whatever works. I thought, and I can't remember, but it might have been Councillor McDonald last time when we were talking, what usually happens with something like this is the people who are serviced by it bear the cost of it over time, and that's why they paid this much, was to pay it back over a certain period of time. That time has probably been over, well more than 20 years. It likely has paid for whatever the cost was, but the understanding was as soon as you need a new one, you're going to get reassessed and you pay it there. So I'm just kind of ignorant on.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the original bylaw was for a debenture to be placed over, I think it's a 10-year period for the cost of the construction. So it went on their taxes. This is more of an operational cost annually. It's not a capital cost. So if the pump needed to be replaced, my understanding would be that it would be debentured over a 10-year period and the people who use it would bear the cost of it.
So the cost that they're paying right now without the increase is the cost of what was an ongoing debenture carried forward into the future?
No, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. It's for operating costs, for the pumping out, for the maintenance on it. $500 a year doesn't even cover it. That's not, the past is done.
Okay, well, fair enough. I just haven't heard the cost. I've heard one cost in 1 year being $2,500, but I haven't heard an ongoing cost because who knows, for the next 6 years, nothing may happen. So.
I'll go. I have my own question. Do you have a question, Councillor Shane, before I jump in? Because how many residents are part of this communal?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, 4.
Where did this come about where there's 4? And to me, if we need a new septic bed, why do those 4 not? Because nobody's going to come and fix my septic or his septic. So can you maybe elaborate a little more, Blake?
Yes. through the mayor, that this, I believe was 87. It was basically back in there, the government had a grant system because either water and sewer, they evaluated Avonmore, they had certain upgrades, some septic beds, and whatever, not like the other major villages we have. And basically, there's 4 on there because before that, all they were holding tanks. So I can't honestly tell you the exact history of how that communal system was developed, but it wasn't acceptable and was most likely got some grant on that for these 4 units because there was no area for a septic bed. So basically, yeah, the knowledge that I have, and I know I before what we used to be, if we had a problem, they used to just call me, and then we go back to the system, and that money that was supposed to be year over year kind of banked and accumulate for any kind of expenses down the road was basically there for us to actually do the municipal part of it, which is, like I said, from the pump chamber to the bed. So, and I kind of agree with the finance. Those pipes are in the road, and basically it was in '87, so we're talking 40 years that basically what is in there. And today's standards, the expense will be quite high if the pipe fails because it's all interlocked and goes to the bed.
So with that, it's just I feel that everybody has the worry of, okay, is my septic bed going to fail, or is that so? Which if it does, the price is just going up and up and up, and you've got so. If you want to be prudent and you want to set money aside as a reserve, personally, I'm talking about just every and where it doesn't appear that there's no risk there, it's all on the township, and we're looking at so to me there should be like I'm willing to move ahead on this, and then but there's more discussions to be had where I don't know if it's one thing where we have a big communal, but when we're talking 4 individuals that are getting this, I don't really understand, and maybe I don't know if CAO, and I know Kim wants to add something, so I'll go to Kim first.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, based on the bylaw, this came from Township of Roxborough in 1987. It said that council had deemed it necessary, desirable, and expedient, and in the public interest to commence the construction of this. It said engineering studies and professional opinions have been received with respect to the necessity, existing, and proposed utilization, design criteria, and approval has been received through the Ministry of Environment along with provincial grant funds. I don't know all the history. That's what I have in front of me because it's not even our township anymore. But honestly, I'm not an engineer, but I don't know if those individuals even have room for 4 separate beds.
Which I understand, but I'm saying is the financial risk or the financial aspect of maybe needing upgrades or whatever. I don't feel that there should be some outside of just a little increase that we're doing. There should be some take from those 4 individuals.
But through you, Mr. Mayor, if there was major work to be done, it would be debentured and they would have their share, but it might be over a 10-year period that you add it to their tax roll or whatever it may be. But it would be debentured against those owners.
Okay, and not part of coming
No.
off from the working
No.
reserve. Okay, I see.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I'm trying to think through as well is, so what's covered by them paying this fee? If the pipe under the road needs to be repaired, are we responsible for that? Because then I can see building a little bit of a fund and building a bit of a reserve specifically for that. So we may want to, out of some of the money here, build that reserve. But if we're saying, you know what, that would be deemed a major repair, that gets debentured and they all have to pay for it. Well, if they have to pay for it in the future, why are we asking them to pay for it now? Or why are we collecting money on it now?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, $500 total per year is really not going to do much. It's not 500 per person, so we're not collecting. No, but all I'm saying is, if you're paying maintenance that's more than $500 a year, there's nothing for reserves unless at budget time, council deems it appropriate to change that amount. But I was directed to bring an increase forward, staged in. I've contacted the individuals. I've heard nothing back. It's up to council for your direction.
I'm trying to just justify the cost, and I heard what you said. 1 year, we paid $2,500, which is way more than what we collected. But I don't know whether that's 1 year in every 6 years that we pay $2,500 or not. So, because we've probably accumulated more than that over the 6 years. So I'm fine making sure that we are covering the costs. I just have no visibility to the costs. I'm hearing it could cost this. We did cost this 1 year. Costs are going up, but we're asking them to double their costs without any expense evidence.
I'll go to Chad.
Yeah, I can appreciate, through you, Mr. Mayor, I can appreciate where you're coming from in specific costs, and the challenge, as the treasurer has indicated, is there has been no tracking. And this recognition that this existed because we had all of a sudden a bill for $2,600. So as we dig into it, we discover that there is funds that are coming in to maintain this. It hasn't obviously come to council since amalgamation in '98 to be addressed. So it pops up all of a sudden. So we have no mechanism. So I think what the plan is, and what we will do, is we're now tracking it, but we have to remember it's a space that we have to maintain. So we have grass cutting. That's a yearly cost that will have to go into that. Which will probably be more than $500 just to keep the grass cut because it's our property. So there is those ongoing maintenance things that may not be directly related to the system, but it's our property, so we're going to continue it. I guess the other piece is, if we'll track it and we start to build this reserve from these funds, then if we do get to a big expense, it's $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. If we hit, it can be debentured, so we can debenture over time, but if we've accumulated the funds, then we don't have to hit them with a debenture because we've got the majority of it prepared for it, and we've built a little bit of a cushion there. So I think that's the intention, is to monitor and track this on a go-forward basis. A fee was set in 1987, and 40 years later, they're still paying the same. That covered some of the debenture, but then has been used and accumulated, and obviously gone into municipal funds to use it, and now we've had to draw in. So I think it's a matter of an ongoing, moving forward, we make sure we've covered our costs, so maybe we're not hitting them with a large debenture that at one time.
Okay, so then can we amend the recommendation and the motion here to say, and further, that we will establish a reserve to collect any additional funds so that they can be spent in the event of an increase? That way, I feel that then at least the taxpayers' money is going someplace where they are serviced by that money. Because that's my fear, is I wasn't hearing that we were necessarily, and thank you for the lawn cutting comment, because that was another expense that plays into this as well. But I just want to be sure that we can say to these people, this money is going to, much like with our water and our sewer, the money that comes in from the ratepayers go to those services. So if we can amend this just simply to put on that any monies accumulated beyond covering the expenses will go into a reserve that could be used to cover future expenses, I'd be happy with that.
And the systems themselves, so whether it's Chrysler, Finch, Moose Creek, the systems are basically owned by the people, the users of that system. I feel that this is the same thing if the system was to fail, that's where I just need clarity that it's not the township and the rest of the taxpayers that are funding this thing, when I feel that it should, be dealt with internally. So that's if that's what I'm hearing, I'm okay to cover some of our maintenance expenses.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if we include it in the whole water and sewer budget, then it's one rate.
No, I'm not talking about including it. I'm just saying it has to be the same mechanism of those four users are the ones using the system. So
Fair enough.
Tom, Dick, and Harry that are just down the road that aren't part of it should not be incurring cost to fix this. And when I say cost, as a township, it wouldn't just be the neighbor, it would be as a municipality. So I think we've got the answer, but I do agree that let's see if we can cover our maintenance cost at least. The balance goes into a reserve for that specific system, but it's if it fails that I'm more concerned with, that we have to see and protect the interest of our taxpayers and not be, and maybe we can have further discussions on that to elaborate as we move forward, start tracking and get a better read on where we stand.
Hear you, Mr. Mayor. Like, it's been very hard to find these costs because even the grass cutting has not been allocated to a certain account. So to try to track it for 40 years, I've tried.
Pass, yeah, I think we're
Correct.
just going forward, yeah. Okay, so seeing no further questions, are we comfortable?
Well, can we amend it and just say and further that? Whatever, unless you have created something, or?
Through the chair, this is to accept the report. We could, when we bring forward the bylaw, amend and adjust the resolution at that point.
Makes sense. So to accept the report, all in favor? Motion's carried. Moving to 9.4, so to repeal bylaw number 45-2016 for respiratory protection program.
Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Deputy Mayor Densham, that the Council of the Township of North Stormont approve and repeal. That the Council of the Township of North Stormont approve the repeal of bylaw number 45-2016, being the respiratory protection program policy, as the township has transitioned to a standard operating procedure, SOP-based framework for respiratory protection and related operational requirements within North Stormont Fire Services.
Thank you. So that did come through the fire committee, but Nancy, did you just want to quickly give us a briefing?
As we modernize and as we grow with our department and our accreditation, we needed to update this bylaw. I don't want to come to council every time there's a standard changed or anything like that. So coming down, our policy for the emergency response approved by council last year included the SOPs. So a lot of our policies now will be guided through those. They are being written to meet the standards of today, the legislations and the CSAs of the fire services. So this is the only bylaw that we have for the fire services under the townships.
Question. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Densham.
And thank you, you answered one of my questions. Was it a part of the meeting that I missed? Because again, what would be handy for the rest of council, especially who don't attend those meetings, would be to have what is the bylaw, the full bylaw, and what are the SOPs? Because the question I had was, I think it's absolutely the right way to go. I don't think you should be in a stranglehold on a bylaw any more than it makes sense to be so. But what I wasn't sure of is what's in the SOP versus what's in the bylaw. So, because effectively, if it's not in a bylaw, that means you could be probably making some changes behind the scenes that council may not be privy to, and that's perfectly fine when it comes to a lot of the minor stuff. But I wasn't sure what's in there and whether or not council has an opinion on some of the things that need to be in a bylaw because they want to see it before you make changes to it. So that was my only hesitation. But if the mayor has seen it and he's happy with the SOP and stuff, it just, yeah.
I mostly relied on the 4 deputy chief and our firefighters. I think if there's something that's out of line, now mind you, if it's money we're talking about, then it's, but when it relies on the safety and everything that is structured into the fire service, I think we would hear if it wasn't something that met in the standards. And so at the committee with the 4 deputy chiefs, I think they were all well in line with going to SOGs instead of the bylaw. Any questions that side? Seeing none, all in favor of the repealing, motion is carried. Moving on to the amalgamated recreation agreement, Mr. Clerk.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Densham, seconded by Councillor Shane, that the Council of the Township of North Stormont adopt the Amalgamated Recreation Agreement 2026, repealing and replacing bylaw number 73-2016 2020, and further, that council authorize staff to implement and administer the provisions of the agreement as outlined.
Questions?
Sorry, I warned the mayor that I had a lot of questions this meeting. Too bad it's such a long one. So a couple of things. One, I agree with the fact that some of the expenses should be apportioned, like the 60/40 and stuff like that. But what I don't know is what the math is to justify the percentages that are being presented in there. I see what they are, but I don't know, have we communicated to each of the art groups, and are they generally in agreement that the percentages fairly reflect what the expense split should be when it comes to shared use facilities? I don't know what the math is on that, and we've done a lot of work over the years to prevent the different rec groups from thinking that one is being favored over another, and it just, to me, it would be great if we could show the mathematics on that to say, here's why we say 60/40, here's why we say 80/20 on these. Do we have the math?
Through the chair, yes, this was talked about at their workshop and their meeting with Amalgamated Recreation. The portion was, first of all, established in 2017 with the first bylaw with 40% recreation and 60% township for the North Stormont Place. As we realized that when we're going through this, the reason this was done is because North Stormont Place has a doctor's office and a library. Also, if you look at Monkland, has the post office and the rec. So, but they were always at 100%. So why was this chosen just for Avonmore and not the rest of them? So that's why we looked at what, like the Canada Post is there 5 days a week, most of the days, all the days, and the recs are using it at night. So we kept the same format as a Monkland. If you look at the Chrysler Library kitchen side of the community center, the furnace is the basement of the community center, but it supplies a library. There's only one duct that comes into the kitchen. The rest is completely for the library. In Moose Creek, on the hall side, it's 100% recreation because a rental facility space has its own furnace, and so that's why in Moose Creek the HVAC is completely separate, because we do have a separate unit for. And the arena and Finch has been established in the past with the percentage as the arena and the rec pays towards the arena for utilities. And that was presented to all recreation, and they agreed to it that it was fair.
I'll go with that. Like I say, I still don't get the math. Maybe we're just kind of picking numbers because they feel right. I don't know, but again, as long as we can defend it, should we get challenged? That would be my only concern, because again, I 100% agree with the fact we should be doing this. It's just what those numbers are. Will anybody feel that they're not accurately calculated? The other question I had was more on the facilities booking. I know we've had a lot of pushback on that. This agreement demands that each of the rec groups must use it, and I wasn't sure whether or not we've actually got full agreement from each of the rec groups to use the booking. I can't remember the name of it.
Through the chair, it's ongoing. So right now, we brought it back forward because they had a 1 year trial period with the 1 year expired, and actually nobody actually used it. Some of them found it too complicated, some of this. So we agreed that with the ARC that there'll be special training done for them to get all on board. As soon as you know the system works, it's very easy to understand. So we are planning to have a couple of sessions with their booking volunteers, that one that does all the reservations, to meet with Chrysler, and we'll put it on the big screen, and we can go through all the process of how the booking system works. Or it could be Universe, could be whatever facility company we decide in the future use as a booking system. But they seem to be on board now to get some training, get to use it, and then they implement this. So our goal is to have everything on the website where you're looking to rent a hall, you click one button, you'll have all access to every hall we got. Right now, it's all independent through all kinds of emails. This way it'll be unique on a website, press one button, get the hall. It's the training that of these volunteers, and what happened is we do have changes of volunteers from years to years, so it'll be a constant workshop of training new volunteers that comes along for doing reservations for their halls. But they
Yeah, well,
it
the
seems
last
like
meeting-
they look forward that this is gonna happen, so.
Well, the last meeting I was at, there wasn't consensus. I just want to be blunt. A lot of the groups, or not a lot, some of the groups flat out refused to use it, and they didn't feel like they should be paying for it. And my fear is that I admire what you're trying to do with this, but we already know that volunteers are dwindling, which puts a huge amount of additional responsibility on those that remain. And if we try to impose stuff onto those volunteers, we're going to have fewer and fewer. And so, again, if they have a system that they like to use that works, this is where I have a problem saying you must pay for something that you either will not use or really don't want to use, and we end up burning volunteers. So I haven't felt the love, to be honest with you. We've tried giving them a year's worth of training. I just have a hard time imposing something on volunteers, especially if they have something else that they feel they can work with.
Go ahead, Mr. CAO.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, at the last amalgamated rec meeting that we had, there was consensus drawn, and unfortunately, Deputy Mayor Dencham, you were not able to attend. So the giving them the option and hearing what the barriers were, if you recall that meeting or our workshop in Chrysler, that was the intention. And talking to the booking agents after from the three recs that were opposed to it, identifying why, and the reality was there was not proper training, and they were not comfortable because they couldn't create the system and then see it. So we're in the process. There's some upgrades that the director's going through to get everything in line, and once that's done, then we will provide some proper training. So at the last amalgamated rec, there was agreement that once we get to that, we'll do that. That there is some. Well, the love wasn't there. We're slowly building that. So they were again. This agreement is coming back as a result of a 2-hour amalgamated rec meeting where it isn't agreed. The resolution that came from amalgamated rec was that we present it as amended, and that's what you're getting. So all the recs agreed to it. So so there is some building. Yes, there's still some work to do. There's no question about it. So we do have to do that. And if I could just go back to your previous question, Deputy Mayor Dencham, what math, like what you're looking for math, and you raised the concern about if somebody comes back on us. Are you referring to the recs, or are you looking at something?
Yeah, really, because I'll use the one that's different, the 80-20.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically saying there's 5 vents, and one of the vents come in, and that's where we're basing our costs. Like, are there other additional costs? I don't know what costs there are, first of all, that need to be paid on Chrysler, but even Monkland. It's a very small portion of the building that's used by Canada Post. Granted, they're there during the day and 5 days a week, but if a rec group catches on the way we'd hope they'd be there just as often as well. So square footage wise, the rest of the building is much bigger than the Canada Post purchase. So that's what I'm not trying to understand is what is it that caused us to say Canada's Post expense, which is going to be borne by their rent, which won't cover all of the costs, plus the ratepayers. What costs are there that justify 60% on such a small square footage of the building?
Okay, thank you. Just so we can start to build that math that you're looking for. It was, again, at the meeting, it was shared, and there was agreement from across the recs with the breakdown. So I wanted to make sure there wasn't something else. You've sat on the amalgamated rec committee for a number of years.
Yes.
So, and probably heard other pieces that maybe the director hasn't. So I just wanted to make sure we we knew, there wasn't other things out there that we needed to be aware of.
No, 100%. And hear me correctly here. What I'm trying to do is avoid going backwards in time.
Yeah.
We've
No.
made so much progress. And Pierre, you
Yeah.
and Ellen in the early years have done so much work to get us where we are right now. I just am very, very sensitive to some of the things that were issues for the rec groups in the past, and I do not want to go back in time and lose all of the great progress that we've made. And these are the things that stick out to me as things that I've heard in the past saying, this isn't fair, this isn't fair, this is what, but if we can clearly justify, and the other thing that we heard in the past was, you're always trying to impose stuff on us as a rec group. Like, we're volunteers, stop imposing stuff on us. So anything that jumps out to me like that, I'm going to be hypersensitive to, because I don't want to take a big step backwards on the progress that has been made. So.
Through the chair, yes, this was presented, like you'll say, Monkland. Well, if Monkland's got no events for a week, that we can lower that furnace, but the posts are in there daily. Daily of the use of washroom, daily of the HVAC, daily of this, so that's why this cost was split. We based it on the old bylaw of 40/60, based on what they use as far as recreation compared to what a recreation department uses, compared to a renter in this facility uses on behalf of the township. And that's why we based it. And the same thing, you mentioned the Chrysler Library. Yes, there's only one duct, the rest of all the heating is going in the library. What happened is the library's on the slab, so they had no room to put the furnace in. It went into on the community center side in the basement. But all that services the library.
And to add to 2080, it's only the kitchen and the library. It has nothing to do with the community center itself.
Correct. The community center, if you go on the hall side, has got 4 rooftop units. These are 100% Chrysler Community Center responsibilities. That's why I mentioned it's written Chrysler Library / kitchen side, is because it's 2 separate units, like in Moose Creek.
Again, because I've sit on this committee and I've been close to it for many, many years, the other piece too was the utilities, and I love the direction you were heading. I'm trying to find it here. Specifically, I'm looking for Tebow Place because you put that out specifically. Do we have a clear way of measuring what those? I remember you were talking about estimating it. Is that what the agreement is? Estimating the cost of those, or do we have a clearer way of measuring specifically what we're going to be asking each of the groups to pay in terms of utilities?
Through the chair, I did have this discussion with all amalgamated recreation, and the way we're going to do it is based on their monthly average where nobody uses the facility. I'll give an example. Baseball diamond, when it's not in use, we can see our average monthly invoice, what it is, and now it'll do a template of what is our actual cost per month of that facility. So anything above that monthly cost that's scattered through all the year, that's when we see when they start using the facility. So for every baseball diamond, it's pretty simple because off-season, we get a peak of $30 every month for October, November, December. So we know that their peak is $30, their annual monthly invoice. So anything that goes over $30, we know they turn on the lights on.
Okay, so we don't have base heaters going in the winter time somewhere to.
Yeah, there's right now it's most of it, and the Tebow Place we discussed that before with Ulrich and also with Chrysler, and they were okay with this. Is they do collect rent from the Cowabunga summer camp, and they have the AC on, so we see a spike in the hydro during that. But they do collect a rent from them, and they were no objection of paying the difference in hydro use for them to host the summer camp.
Yeah, just as long as the average represents the average, because like I say, it doesn't take much in the wintertime if there is something like an electric heater to drive up the cost in the wintertime so that offsets the costs that happen in the summertime. But if there's nothing like that, then I'm cool with that.
To the chair, I'll just give an example quickly. We had that scenario in one of our pools where off-season of the pool, I keep track of the hydro going in, and we noticed that there was a lot of hydro usage during the off-peak of, there was nothing in the facility at all, not even in the pool. And I went in with the contractor and we took everything down as far as floor heating, hot water tank and everything. And then we seen our monthly invoice went really down. So at the end of the year, I'll take the responsibility of go around every building once the season is finished to make sure that everything is shut off so we don't pay this continuous high rate for when the facility is empty.
Sorry, any further questions? Seeing none, so all in favor? Motion's carried. Moving on to water usage and conservation bylaw.
Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Deputy Mayor Densham, that the Council of the Township of North Stormont accept the report for the water usage and conservation bylaw, repealing and replacing bylaw number 64-2021, and authorize its implementation, including Education First enforcement and the use of Provincial Offences Act set fines where required.
Thank you. Any question? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Densham.
What are the changes? Do we have a list of specifically what was changed?
Basically, sir, to the chair, sorry. This bylaw is basically new. We revamped, modernized from the current one that we have. The 2021 was written during an emergency situation, and this one, last year's drought brought back the attention to the bylaw. There was no enforcement to it, no set fines to it. So this is more of building on the infrastructure that's being built in their area as well. But yeah, it's a completely new bylaw, sir.
So are there new things that people will be experiencing? Like one of the things that jumped out at me, if I can find the bylaw, the actual bylaw again, was days of the week for watering lawns. Have we ever had that in the past before?
That's I was just about to say, sir, it's to you, Mr. Chair, that's the one thing that remained constant, is we did have that in the past. We've had that for the last year, where there's days that the numerics, one is odd and the other one is even.
Right. Well, we did have that in the past.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that. I wonder how many people actually are aware of that, maybe.
This is where Tara's coming in.
Does it apply all the time, or I thought it was more?
No, it's effective May 1st to, I believe the May 1st dates are still in force, just, yes, May 1st to September 30th. When the
And was
water
that,
usage.
was that established prior? Like, was that there
Yes.
before? Okay, I thought it was only once we deemed necessary that we would apply so I thought prior was not, so go ahead, Mr. CEO.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll jump in because I had some input on that. So the initial bylaw that was shared had a baseline of no restrictions. We walked through a significant drought last summer, and we recognize that we are, as you saw with the allocation numbers, that in our municipal water supply, we've had we don't have a lot to be handing out. So one of the suggestions I made was if we go with a baseline data of no restrictions, and we build 95 houses in Chrysler in a subdivision of folks that have come from residential areas where they've got in-ground water sprinklers, and every one of them, you get one, you're going to have two, you're going to have three, you're going to have four, and by the end of the summer, we've got 90 water sprinklers operating every day, all day. We're going to be in a challenge, which you saw, I think, in Chrysler last year during that drought. So my recommendation was let's put a baseline water consumption, and the idea is that water conservation to allow folks to take care of what they need to do by doing outside watering. But it isn't an open season of using the water supply so that we can manage our resource that we have. So that was why it was an established, rather than the baseline of 0 where anything can go, that is our baseline with the pure intention of conserving water, and then we move our way up from there.
Yep, thank you. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Densham.
I absolutely agree with the direction you're going. My problem is that there hasn't been any public communication about this ahead of time, and maybe even an opportunity for public input. Maybe the public will want to even be more aggressive than that. I don't know, but I just feel a little bit put on the spot as a council to be saying, to the public, these are now the bylaws, when they weren't that way yesterday. So I think there needs to be more outreach when we're introducing a new bylaw. That's the one thing that jumped out at me too, but there may be other things, because I don't pay for water. I don't know how many people even who do pay for water look at the bylaw, but there may be other things too. I think I skimmed through this and I was looking to say, is there anything in our bylaw that says you can't fill up your pool? Because I think there should be, in my opinion, something like that. Whether or not there should be stuff in our bylaw, and whether or not we should be reaching out to the public to make them aware of the fact. I think your timing is great, as you said. We had a drought last summer. People are a little more water conscious. We're talking about the fact that our facilities are getting stretched. Maybe there's an opportunity we should be looking at having some consultation, even an open session, public input on the idea of what should be in the bylaw, if only for the reason of public education, before we simply impose a new bylaw containing stuff that has never been in there before. That's my thoughts. I just don't see supporting it at this point without doing the proper change management that should go with it.
At the same time, brings up the discussion of the water meters that we're talking about. You're filling your pool or you're sprinkling, or right now, there is the benefit where we have a standard one rate, whether you water every night or don't water at all. So I think that just the overall big picture is where we've had the committee of the whole over discussions with water meters, different volumes, which I think would be affected. With regards to, we also have to protect our investment. I understand putting it out there to the public, but you don't want to wait till you're in a drought and now we're trying to. So to implement something, we're not stopping them from, if we say, okay, Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday, and implement a strategy, I think is good on our part to do so. And like I don't think like to go to the extent and say I'm in full favor of this, because I believe that we're not limiting anybody. We're not. I think that the people would understand, and anybody that had questions, I would be able to defend it, and I think staff would as well. So, Chad, did you want to add?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, and I do appreciate that we were coming with something new. If we were coming with a restriction that there was no watering until we felt that we had, then yes, public consultation. In this case, we are allowing watering to happen. It is available, and I think you're correct, Deputy Mayor Densham. It's about education and communication, and our intention is to make sure that we've put it out. You'll see that that the EDCEO put out about fireworks today to make people aware that we do have a bylaw related to that. Now, what that does is it opens a conversation and it opens questions. When you look at that, and we were having this discussion before the meeting, there's some comments about what they think it is, but when you dig into it, it's not us trying to restrict those backyard where you go and buy a $200 kit of some cherry bombs and those types of things. That's not the intention. It's the big display ones that are part of the bylaw. But at least by having that out there, it opens that discussion where folks recognize, oh, there is a bylaw. Oh, because next year I want to do something for the community, or I want to do something in my little subdivision or whatever it is, and we've got that established. So I think it'll be important as we move forward with, if this passes, is making sure that we're clear and it starts the conversation. We put it out there. This is just to let you know this is what's coming. You still have the ability to use the water, and it's just about conservation, and that needs to be our message. And I think that's the idea of getting public input on the restrictions. If we were going to go zero, then yes, we would have needed to get some deeper. But I guess in doing these, controlling our assets and make sure we're managing what we're providing, as a resident myself, it's on one of the municipal systems. When I walk down the street and I see somebody that's got the greenest grass, and there's mine burning because I'm following, then at least it gives the bylaw officer some opportunity to at least have those conversations. Again, that becomes an education piece, but the bylaw is there to just to remind folks, and then the communication and the education around that. There will be some folks that will be frustrated because they want to water the lawns every day. But I think on the other side, having friends and family that have lived through the drought that you experienced last year on your well system, there will be equal, if not more, that will say, well, this makes sense because we're managing an asset. It's not about restricting use, it's about managing an asset. And water is an asset.
And I have no argument with any of that, except that I think that the public deserves a heads up before we basically just put it in place. I would prefer us to say, coming in 2 meetings on Facebook or something like that, will be a bylaw that will be introducing these new things because of what we've experienced, because we want to be sure that we're doing it. Put it out on, we don't have to have a public open forum or whatever, but I just think the public deserve a chance to react to it before it happens rather than after it happens. So for that reason, I can't support it, but.
But again, we're protecting our interests. It's not individuals
I'm
that
not
are,
saying we shouldn't do it.
and it's not individuals that are, can still come and voice their opinion, but I believe, I trust staff that you've done your due diligence to see what the need would be, and I would not have to go up and, because every time you play the game where if it's something like there's none, you address it. But in this case, I think it's, but we'll go to other questions, and then we can go to.
Yeah, so my input on this, I agree completely with you. Timing is perfect on bringing this in. I don't think you'll get a lot of pushback after just last summer. Everyone's gone through this drought and they know the consequences. Right now, we've got so much rain coming down lately. Like, you can practically swim in your lawns. It's a great time to start with the education before the drought. I know Deputy Mayor Densham wants that to be a little longer. I think right now it's a great time. Get it out. We're not into a drought yet. Prepare them.
So I'm going to, no further questions? So I'm going to take it to a vote. So all in favor? Against? And I get to vote, I think, for the first time. So I will go in favor. So the motion is carried. Okay, moving to, where are we here? 9 point. Animal control. So moving to animal control to regulate care and control of animals. Mr. Clerk.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Densham, seconded by Councillor Shane, that the Council of the Township of North Stormont receive the draft animal control bylaw for information purposes and direct staff to bring forward the finalized animal care and control bylaw for consideration at the July 21st, 2026 council meeting.
Thank you. And I'll look for questions.
I must have some questions on this one. Actually, could you just go over it for me while I...
I'll summarize, sir, through you, Mr. Mayor. This bylaw took me a little longer. So what I did is I summarized, we took the last 2 years of complaints, what's been working, what's not been working, what people have been asking and, complaining against. And we, again, modernized the existing bylaw. The bylaw is very dated. It doesn't even reflect some of the new legislation. So we did, and we are going to bring this back. This is an information piece. It's not being approved tonight. And it's going to be back, I think at the July meeting to have it approved. I wanted council to have time to read this bylaw. I did rewrite a lot of it. We did add a lot of new wording. We've simplified some of the defined terms. We've created some what we expect to be new challenges with the new construction. We've spoken to planning. We've spoken to CBO. We've spoken to every department in preparing this bylaw in order to meet even including the CD, the ECDAV, Tara, to see what she had a sense of, and then again with our deputy clerk for the wording to simplify it. So this bylaw will reflect all the last 2 years of work and challenges that we've gone through in our office.
Before I go to question, I always look at, when you're looking at a bylaw, there's somebody that's written one before you. Mm-hmm. So it's always, so did we look at, I always talk about our neighbors, but did we look at other bylaws, and are we pretty much in line? Is there something that's out of the ordinary, or if we're trying to back up what we've got in front of us?
So what I did with this is because Russell is our, does our dog catching and our pound, I did reach out to them and took their bylaw and reviewed it thoroughly so that we had a consensus between the two townships since they were supporting us. I did speak with other township, their bylaws are being reviewed as well. And I've shared my bylaw with them. So I've shared our draft with some of our other townships that are reviewing this. So we are looking at having a consensus that some of the borders are looking at. So it is working. We
Just
are in
to-
confined, yeah.
So I agree, so that's fine, because we do utilize Russell as far as our,
Correct.
but as well, you gotta also consider you're going north, and when you go north, you're going more urban. So there's the urban aspect of a bylaw, there's also rural aspect of a bylaw, and that's where I'd like the balance to fit in between, so.
This is what
Maybe-
we've done with this one.
Before I go to council, I'll just look at our CAO for.
Yeah, just in reference to that, through you, Mr. Mayor, in reference to that, this was a conversation that came up in our county's CAO meeting, and is one that everyone is struggling with right now, and we have a coterminous municipality that was looking for guidance from what our MLEO was preparing for this. So yeah, the conversation has happened with our rural counterparts in the counties, and we're all, as Nancy Ann has indicated, we're all struggling to find language because we're all dealing with a little bit different similar issues that we've dealt with our exotic animals is cropping up in more municipalities now than it has. So
And to
certainly is a
add-
challenge.
And to add to that, so I think I've had conversation with Nancy, but we did get cases where you're thinking, okay, where is this coming from? So we did get some exotic issues with certain animals. So I'll look, I'm not sure if Deputy Mayor Densham wants to
Yeah,
add to this.
Curious question more than anything. The doggy daycare, you restricted hours on the weekends, and I wondered why the hours were less on the weekends than during the day, especially since we have people who work at the hospital and work shifts and therefore maybe taking their animals there. I didn't know if there was additional rationale as to why we restricted hours down to, I think it was 9 to 5 instead of 8 to 9 or something like that.
It was more, if we're gonna allow them as a kennel, it's weekends, it's unusual that we would use them. I'm not saying it's a perfect, but there's also the noise restrictions, there's also other issues in the area that we were hoping that it would be shortened, but I can certainly put it back to the same hours all the time. There was no specific other than depending on where the doggy daycare would be. I would assume that it would be during the week where more of the people are working than weekends. But the consideration of shift work was not
It was just-
included.
Again, I don't have a sense for it either, but I
Yeah.
just didn't want to arbitrarily pick a
Correct.
time just because somebody else or has it in their bylaw. Again, most of these doggy daycares, I'm assuming, will be in bigger properties, maybe not, but the other thing was, there was, I thought I read it earlier and I can't find it, something about a grandfathering statement in here for certain parties.
For example, if you had an apartment and you currently have 2 animals, 2 dogs, which are allowed, and we decide to move forward with the bylaw and we restrict it to 1, then I'm not going to go door to door and say, okay, you're down to 1, get rid of your dog. So there's certain things that we want people to understand that the current status will remain depending on the circumstances. But that would be one example.
And our enforcement is going to continue on the way that it is. It's more reactive than proactive. Is that the thinking here?
Correct. It is more reactive.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Moving on to our municipal bylaws, so bylaw number 38-2026 in regards to the agreement for aqua service contract.
Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Deputy Mayor Densham. Be it resolved that bylaw number 38-2026, being a bylaw to sign a service contract with Aqua, be read and passed in open council this 23rd day of June, 2026.
You want to maybe take a first crack at this, Mr. CAO?
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor. I provided in the package the explanation and the rationale for the increases. Just to bring you back, this initial service agreement with Aqua was established in 2021. The idea would be continuing. We've tweaked, had some good conversations with Aqua around some of the language that's in there and clarified some pieces. Worked on how we can continue to use the service agreement to meet the needs. We have some small water systems that require occasional work. So rather than having them built in, we're billed on a going forward basis. And I guess the bottom line is in terms of fees and costs, we maintain the 2026 cost until January 1st of 2027. And then we have that increase. So if you're looking for specific numbers in terms of what that increase is, it's an 8% increase that we'll incur beginning on January 1st, 2027, of which 2.5% would be part of the CPI. So a 5% increase, and there's an explanation in there. The bulk of that increase is the result of a negotiated contract. We're aware of collective agreements that we're dealing with. They absorb the cost that they've incurred for the last 2 years or a year and a half, and retro pay and all those pieces that come with a negotiated salary increase. And most of our increase is reflective of that cost of doing business with the employees that Aqua has. So I think bringing this forward, and I'll let our superintendent of public works, we have a really good working relationship, and we rely on Aqua and their expertise to keep our system running, and they've done a great job. Noting that some further explanation on some of those charts and numbers that we don't always can't make the connections to where the numbers are coming from, but certainly have been responsive to our needs, and so I'm recommending that we move this bylaw forward. The previous bylaw indicated it was a 5-year contract, but subsequent ones are 2 years. So I agree. In our conversations, we moved to 2 years. You may see me come back in 2 years' time and say, okay, we've had a good working relationship now for 7 years. The contract is serving. We want to let's make this move back to that 5-year. But I wanted to honor the language of the 2021 bylaw. So happy to take any questions related to that service agreement.
Thank you. Any questions? I see none. I'm all good, so I'll put it to a vote. So all in favor? Motion is carried. Moving to bylaw number 31-2026 for water and wastewater and water usage and conservation bylaw.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Densham, seconded by Councillor Shane, that the Council of the Township of North Stormont approve bylaw number 31-2026 to regulate and conserve the consumption of water from municipal waterworks and to repeal bylaw number 64-2021.
Thank you. Any further question? Deputy Mayor Densham.
So I could have voted yes on the other because it was a report, but the one gap still, regardless, is, again, I think there should be something about pools in this bylaw that says that you're not allowed to fill your pool.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, there is some language in there that reflects water usage. If it's not in this the use of pools, that it has to be approved. There is stipulation, and I thought it was in this bylaw that I read that, but it could be in another bylaw. But there is something around pools, and there has to be approved usage at a specific spot. So duly noted. We'll go back and double check, but.
Sorry, but the writing should be specified that if you're topping up your pool, that's part, you're not getting a truck coming here, that's fine. It's just if you're putting a new pool or a spring full fill up, then, yeah, and then you would get to have a contractor to supply water to fill it, and then, but topping up is a different thing if you're just, with evaporation.
And through you, Mr. Mayor, to follow up, sorry.
You cannot get a truck to come in and just to put this much water in.
You're paying for a full load.
Yeah.
Whether you want 4-inch top up or.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I just don't know how many pool, how much of a strain that puts on, more than what watering your lawn would. But anyhow,
Fair.
we should at
Duly
least put
noted.
something in that says you can't fill your pool up or you have to. The other question that I had is, because it was an issue in the drought when we were dealing with it from a South Nation perspective, was people who are licensed to take water. I don't know how many, if any, we have in our municipality, but it was an issue for a couple of the areas covered by South Nation at the time, that there was no language in their agreements that you could impose restrictions on them. Some of them make sense, because if they're servicing things like hospital or whatever, then you shouldn't be cutting off certain people. But others that are more discretionary, maybe we should be. So I don't know whether we have any people that we license to take water, and whether or not there's language in their contracts that's enforceable through this bylaw.
Through the mayor, no one can activate our water system, hydrants or whatever, unless they have authority. And basically, we work with the United Counties when they're doing work, that they have to have water, like for flushing and wherever, that we grant them, so that's not, but besides that, there's no permission granted, and it's in the I think there's another bylaw where you cannot touch municipal water system. So, and it, years ago, I haven't seen, and we will, Aqua will see if somebody takes water. Like, it's a sudden spike, besides, like fire department has permission to do this and that, but if anybody takes water and we don't, and they see a spike, they'll contact us to see if something happened.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I found what I was looking for. It's not referenced specifically to pools, but under Part 8, fire hydrant use, no person shall open, operate, use, or interfere with any fire hydrant or other part of the municipal waterworks for the purpose of taking water except with the prior authorization of the water and sewer operator. So anyone that wants to take water to fill pools needs to have prior authorization. So that, while pools aren't specific, it encompasses all those pieces of taking water. And that, again, goes back to the water conservation stage that's in effect at the time of use. So it's not asking CEO Brownlee, or it's not asking Fire Chief Gauthier. It's going to Aqua to say they have to request the usage of that. And that's typically for pool filling. They would be coming to our fire hydrants in one of our 3 communities. So there is some language related to that, just not specifically pools.
I
But duly
beg
noted.
to differ.
Oh,
No, in that one sense, so I'm on a well, so I actually had 2 hoses, one from my back of my house, one from my garage house. I put 2 hoses into my pool, 27-foot pool, and I filled it from 0 to full. It ran all day, all night. The next morning I had, now I have a good well, but I mean, so people could use just hoses where they don't need authorization to a hydrant.
Fair
And
enough.
you plug into their neighbors, because there's no meters, and then do the exact same thing. So maybe
something for moving forward to be more specific, yeah.
that if we do action where somebody is filling their pool from nothing, that at least we have the authority to say, wait. So I don't know if that's something to consider.
And I guess to your point on, Mr. Mayor, around using the two hoses, that wasn't taken from 2 different wells. It was from the same well. You were just speeding the process up.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Just clarify.
Yeah, and it's actually, I talked to a plumber, when you use 2 hoses, your pump doesn't kick on and off. So it's actually better to keep, now it's more understanding that you have a good source to pull it from. But anyways, that was my younger days.
So just to follow up, Deputy Mayor Densham, that's we can certainly look at that as an amendment moving forward. And just to finish the conversation, the other part of the conversations that we had in bringing this forward is water usage isn't just about the water use. We also are dealing with an infrastructure, and there are some components in that our Superintendent of Public Works is working with his counterparts across the counties to look at, because we're seeing many municipalities separating creating a separate water usage from a water standpoint, the municipal water works. So we're doing some research, and we'll be looking at bringing a bylaw back down the road that kind of separates some of these pieces out. So maybe at that time, that's when we can get the pool piece into this one. But there will be some delineation for our infrastructure in terms of the water usage from that too. So that's coming in down the road.
Are you okay with that? Or-
Well, I'm still going to vote no for it for the same reason I did. I am 100% behind everything that you're trying to accomplish here. It's not about that. It's about communication. That's my only issue with it.
Where are we here? So any other question? Charles, you're good. So I'll put it to a vote. So all in favor? Against? And I will jump on the in favor, so the motion is carried. Moving to bylaw 10. Go
Through
ahead.
you, Mr. Mayor, just to confirm, I appreciate the comment, and we will
The amend-
undertake some communication, and we'll get our
Thank you. Oh,
our communications officer to take care of that, so we can, and then we'll receive the feedback on those pages, but certainly we will get the information out so people are aware. Absolutely.
And I apologize, with the discussion that we had, did we want to look at in this bylaw with regards to making a statement for actually filling a pool from the ground up on this bylaw, or are we gonna deal with it through the next phase?
I would recommend that we move forward with this one that you've just passed, so it's been passed, and we will work on, as we deal with the other one, that will be more specific in our.
I know we had passed it, but
addressing.
with the discussion, I failed to maybe see if we wanted to make sure to add that note onto this particular one. But if you're saying that we are looking at identifying, we could leave it status quo and
We can certainly bring it back once we look at what Superintendent
With-
Henderson is going to bring back, and then have the two of
then-
them come back with some
perfect.
specific language.
I appreciate it. Thank you. So moving to bylaw number 39-2026 for fire protection, repeal bylaw number 45 for respiratory protection program policy.
Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Deputy Mayor Densham, that the Council of the Township of North Stormont approve the repeal of bylaw number 45-2016, being the Respiratory Protection Program Policy Bylaw.
Thank you. Any further questions on regard to the Nancy's bylaw? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion's carried. Bylaw number 40-2026 for water wastewater for the Avonmore Communal Sewage Service.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Densham, seconded by Councillor Shane. Be it resolved that bylaw number 40-2026, being a bylaw to impose fees or charges for the supply of water and sewer services for the Avonmore communal system, be read and passed in open council this 23rd day of June 2026, and further, that a reserve fund be established for this system funded by fees charged.
Does that answer your, go ahead, Madam Treasurer?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if you look at section 1 of the bylaw, it states special wastewater service rates are hereby imposed upon the owners, blah, 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 to pay for operations, repairs, and maintenance, or a reserve fund for any such purpose. So it's in the bylaw.
So are you comfortable? So
So
pause.
I don't know if you want to amend the
Yep.
resolution, but it is in the bylaw.
So if it's in the bylaw, did you all maybe get you to, because it sounds clear, it's talking about further going into reserve if there's additional. So are you comfortable if we remove or go back to the original one?
As long as, again, you're saying a reserve fund will be established for it, no problem. That's all I was looking for.
So I think you had just a sticky note ad, so reread it and then I'll put it to a vote.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Densham, seconded by Councillor Shane. Be it resolved that bylaw number 40-2026, being a bylaw to impose fees or charges for the supply of water and sewer services for the Avonmore communal system, be read and passed in open council this 23rd day of June 2026.
Perfect. Thank you. All in favor? Motion's carried. And the last one, the agreements 41-2026 for amalgamated recreation agreement to repeal and replace 73-2020.
Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dencham. Be it resolved that bylaw number 41 being a dash 2026, being a bylaw to repeal and replace bylaw number 73-2020 to authorize an agreement with the Amalgamated Recreation Committee, be read and passed in open council this 23rd day of June 2026.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion is carried. Moving to our correspondence, goes from 11.1 to 11.9. Mr. Clerk.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Dencham, seconded by Councillor Shane. Be it resolved that the correspondence as listed as items 11.2 to 11.9 on the agenda be received.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on the correspondence? All in favor of accepting our correspondence? Motion is carried. So there's no petition, unfinished business. So moving to new business, item 15.1, in regards to the support of the EOWC, call to return the property tax assessment cycle. Mr. Clerk.
Moved by Councillor Shane, seconded by Deputy Mayor Dencham. Be it resolved that the Council of the Township of North Stormont support the Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus Resolution 2026-03, Ontario Most Outdated Property Reassessment in Canada, a call to return to property tax reassessment cycle as presented, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be circulated to the Honourable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honourable Peter Bethlen Fowlery, Minister of Finance, EOWC members of Provincial Parliament, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Rural Ontario Municipal Association, the Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, the Ontario Big City Mayors, the Western Ontario Wardens Caucus, the Mayors and Regional Chairs of Ontario, the Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, and all EOWC municipalities.
Thank you. Any comments? Questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion's carried. And that takes us to scheduling of our next meeting, which will take place on Tuesday, July 21st, and that will be our only July meeting for the summer session. Is there any closing remarks from member of council before we go into closed? Seeing none. And now I will ask Mr. Clerk to take us into a closed session, please.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Dencham, seconded by Councillor Shane. Be it resolved that this meeting adjourn to a closed session at 8:01 p.m. for the following reasons. A municipal or local board meeting or part of a meeting may be closed to the public if the subject of the meeting falls within one of the exceptions set out in Section 239 of the Act. J, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, or financial information that belongs to the municipality or local board and has monetary value or potential monetary value.
Perfect. Thank you. So thank you very much, staff, for attending tonight's meeting. And Mr. Clerk, I don't think we'll be coming back. We'll be coming back in open session, but we'll terminate the live stream for this evening. So